not.
All right.
And I was like, oh,
Vice Mayor
I
German,
did it.
Yeah.
will you lead us in prayer? I don't see.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Do you see Pastor Wells here? I don't see him here.
Then I just know, like, I can't not.
What church is he from?
Nathaniel Wells from Holy Trinity.
From an
I don't see
economic.
Pastor Wells
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Would you mind leading us in prayer?
That's not
Okay. Thank you.
You do such a good job with that. I said you do such a good
Yeah, I'll try.
Good evening, good people. Welcome to the April 12th City of Muskegon City Commission meeting. We're going to start with prayer, and followed by Pledge of Allegiance. Our Vice Mayor is going to lead us in prayer. Care to join us, please stand. And moving to caps, thank you. Vice Mayor German.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Let us all bow our heads. Father God, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for giving us life and giving it to us more abundantly. Thank you for the gift that you have given us. And we just praise you, God, and we thank you for being in attendance here at this meeting. And we ask that you guide us. We ask that you guide the commissioners. We ask that you guide the staff. And we ask that you guide the city of Muskegon to do the right thing. We ask that you protect and continue to prosper this great city. And when it's said and done, Father in heaven, we'll give you praises as always. But we ask that we be able to work together, to live together, to understand each other and become close as you gave your son, Jesus Christ, for us. And that was all about love. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do that too.
Done that.
All right, may we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Gorman?
Here.
Commissioner Emery?
Here.
Commissioner St. Clair?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Hood? Absent. Commissioner Ramsey? Absent. Vice Mayor German?
Here.
Thank you. All right. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I've got a number of comment forms to speak, but those are for general topics at the end of the meeting. Don't have any with regard to agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on one of the agenda items but may have not submitted a comment form? Oh, you do. That is correct. That is public hearing or no? No, it's not. New business. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Cross. Then we will have Jamie Cross from City of Muskegon come up and speak with regard to the Hartshorn Plan Unit Development. You have 3 minutes to provide remarks. Welcome back.
Thank you. So I appreciate the opportunity last night to ask some questions. And I also want to thank the city planner, Mike Franz, for getting back to me with some answers to my questions. And so I'm really pleased to hear that there are no deed restrictions that prevent the public from accessing the site like there was with Harbor 31. So that I'm very pleased. And the other thing that he did mention is there is a decrease in impervious surfaces and an increase in green spaces, which is also a real plus in my eyes. So I appreciate his thoughts. I am still concerned about the access going into the one access that is for those two communities and for the public. So I still am a little concerned about with probably bike traffic, pedestrian traffic, and then adding on loading, unloading boats and the parking space, that there might be some concern about that change. I also just want to mention too that he did say that there was nothing with green design in the development, and so I just would encourage the city to really look at that and try to figure out how to get your developers to encourage them to put green design in, so that we're reducing impacts to our water resources, but it also, in the long run, economically, it is the best solution both for the residents and for the community and for everybody. I also just want to restate something I said last night is with the Muskegon Lake Watershed Partnership and its partners and the community are the ones that have spent tireless hours working to raise concerns about Muskegon Lake, and therefore millions of dollars have come here to help clean up the lake, and we need to consider the public's ability to access the lake at this point. So I just want to restate that. And I also want to mention something that's kind of my mantra too when talking about development along the lakeshore. Through my work with the Alliance, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time in Chicago, which I think is the one that did it right. It's very open to the public, no matter what community you live in Chicago. And now other places like Detroit and Milwaukee, Cleveland are rebuilding their lake shores, and they're building them for public. So keep that in mind as we're going forward with the public. And then lastly, I just want to mention that the Nelson neighborhood is going to start some shoreline walks, and we're going to do weekly walks along the shoreline to get to know our neighbors, to get to know the shoreline, and get a little exercise. So I hope that you will come and join us.
Excellent. Thank you. Happy to take a walk and talk with you on the shoreline. Appreciate you being here tonight. All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on an agenda item?
I was just going to do general, but if I could, just a quick comment on Hartford.
Yes, you may.
Laura Swenson, 1364 9th Street. And about 4 years ago, we really began saying, how can we help kids in our community, families in our community get out on the lake? And can you all remember with the, we had NIMS and Nelson came up with this Watch Us Go Boating. The city helped us. We started at Hartshorn Marina.
Is your comments with regard to Hartshorn Marina or
Yep,
Hartshorn PUD?
Hartshorn PUD.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But we started right there in Hartshorn Marina, and I can't say enough how wonderful that was. And we have since gotten close to, about 700 people out on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
But only our first 2 years at Hartshorn, and when the developers came and they started working, I don't think they were happy to see us there. I would just say that within a very short period of time, after they began starting, we were asked to leave. So I just want to comment on public access. Even though we were within the marina, we had some recommendations to move outside of the marina, up along a shallow, wadeable area, and we were advised that it wasn't going to work, wasn't going to fit. We are at Fisherman's Landing. We're very happy there, but we don't know how long we'll be able to be there. So just a comment on public access.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Swenson, and I appreciate your efforts to get more of our youth and community out on the waterfront. I just want to speak with regard to the question of whether or not developers came in and pushed people out of Hartshorn Marina. I remember the issue at that time was liability on the city's part with the electrical situation and rising water that was happening at that time. But I'm happy we've got a home for Fisherman's Landing for you now, and I want to make sure that program is sustainable and continues in our community because it's very important.
I just spoke with staff at the marina. There's a testing system that they test the water, and that certainly would have been in the area we wanted to move to is outside.
We may have opportunity to bring you back, but we will talk to our DPW director about that and make sure that your operations are sustainable in our community. So thank you. Any other folks in the audience that wish to speak on an agenda item? No? All right. Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Are there any items that you wish to have removed for separate consideration? Vice Mayor German.
Yes. Item C as in cat, and let's see. Item C and item K.
All right. Are there any other items, Commissioners? Nope. All right. Seeing none, Commissioners, may I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items C and K as presented.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Gorman, supported by Commissioner St. Clair, to accept the consent agenda as presented, minus item C and K. Roll call, please.
Commissioner St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner or Vice Mayor German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Emery.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Item C, Vice Mayor German.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the poverty exemption policy with amendment language as presented.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Mayor German, supported by Commissioner Gorman, to approve the poverty exemption policy with amended language as presented. And we
Yes,
have
aye.
our treasurer, Sarah
evening.
Wilson,
Yes,
back
yes.
with us tonight.
Thank you, Treasurer Wilson. I know we talked about this in the work session yesterday, and I just wanted the public to get some clarity. Also, in any answers that wasn't, any questions that was not answered. But can you just kind of go back a little bit in detail of what this consists of?
Sure. So there's actually going to be two changes. The first one is required by the state. We have to remove the statement that allows the Board of Review to deviate from the policy for substantial and compelling reasons. They are no longer allowed to deviate from the poverty exemption policy for any reason. So we have to remove that statement in our policy. The other part was some suggested optional language that we could add if we wished. The state has said that we can prorate the exemption, if you will. We are allowed to grant a 50 or 25% exemption. That's the only deviation we can make from the policy. And so the language that I presented, I actually took from the city of Lansing. And under that language, anyone who has a disability or who is over the age of 65, living on a fixed income, would receive a 100% exemption under this poverty exemption policy. They would get the 100% exemption every year as long as they continue to reapply. However, if someone meets the criteria of the policy but does not have a disability or is not over the age of 65, they would receive 100% of the exemption in the first year. After that, it would be phased out to 50% for years 2 through 4, and then 25% in years 5 and thereafter. So this would prevent people from being able to take advantage of the exemption that are not disabled or elderly, which I believe is the intention of the exemption.
And thank you. And that was my next question, to have you explain the reason why you're presenting this as well.
So, as I said last night, we did have an example in the past where there were some parents who purchased a home. They lived outside of our municipality. They purchased a home here in the city for their college-age student to live in. They put the home in the student's name, and by doing that, the student had no income. They were able to apply for and receive a poverty exemption and therefore not pay any property taxes on that home. And so this policy would help to abate those type of situations while still allowing us to grant that exemption to those that truly need it in our community.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments on this item? We discussed it last night. Worked through it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Emery,
Yes.
Commissioner St. Clair.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And item K, Vice Mayor German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On the youth programming training, I move to approve the request for funding to support youth programming.
Support.
All right, a motion by Vice Mayor German, supported by Commissioner Gorman, to approve the request for funding to support youth programming with, to support youth programming.
Okay. All right, well, there's Director Bailey. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Could you just kind of go over and just kind of shed some light on what's happening with this item here?
This funding, because it's COVID, is around the fact that during the 2 years of not having a lot of people working and coming out of a condition where there are a lot of youth who just are not trained. This was an opportunity to fund the Access for All, which is a group that had been here before and shared their motives for helping our building trades, as well as individuals who were not usually able to access these types of jobs. This would be a caveat or some type of a bridge for young people to get into the trades. And it would be offered here on this side of the state for the first time. And we wanted to be able to assist. They asked for 3 years. So when you multiply this 90,000 times 3, that's a lot of money in one big or not so big pot of funds. And we did want to take away from some of the programs that were already established and that are assisting our youth here. So this was the only way to get it going. And I didn't want to not have the funds through our CDBG programs. So we were able to take funds from different allocations for the COVID to bring it into our youth programming, enough that could cover 1 year. So that's why we're doing this. We just didn't want to say no. It's a fantastic program. And if it works well, the next year we'll have some additional types of funding that could keep this going for the 3 full years that they would request.
Thank you. And how will these, youth be selected to participate in this program?
The youth are coming from our high schools or being referred to from some other trade programs. So we're looking at anyone from more so than just Muskegon Public Schools. So it's our county, our area that these youth would be coming from. They can range up to the 24 year. So someone would have to let them know about it. Someone would have to give them the information. And they're getting some applicants. They already had probably 6 of the number that they wanted, but they were hopeful to get started this month of April. So
Great. Yeah, this is really good. I can remember in high school taking these type of classes, and they were available. You just don't see that now due to the cutbacks and outsourcing or whatever. But this is good for these students to come out and learn a trade and be able to be skilled workers and earn a good living and have a better quality of life. Thank you.
Commissioner Emery?
Who will be doing the training?
So it is coming directly from the AFL-CIO Workforce Development. So they have already trained, and it's been successful on the other side of the state. So coming here allows them to, just cover a little more of Michigan, and we certainly need it. And all of the work that's being done here, it would be phenomenal to have some of these students be included in that.
Thank you. I'm all for it. Absolutely.
Commissioner Gorman, Commissioner St. Clair, any questions or input on this item?
Just a reminder, I think we had a presentation on this a month or so ago.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. And that at that presentation, they talked about that this program was open to youth who were justice challenged or involved in historically in the criminal justice system. Am I remembering that correctly?
I don't remember the justice system. I know that Paul Kurtzel, who is a part of the Muskegon Public Schools, is one of the true cheerleaders for this, and he sees a lot that most of us don't see it in the Muskegon Public Schools, but he knows that there are several youth who are interested and that he could refer. And so I don't remember reading anything about, they're not, cutting off anyone who is coming from the justice system, but it's
That's
not.
all I wanted to know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
looking now, I don't see that.
Thank you. Yeah, I believe they're working closely with the Muskegon Community Education Center at MPS and helping to get our local students involved with this. But this is a great program. Thank you, Director Bailey, for working with the FLCIO Workforce Development Institute on implementing this programming on our side of the state and in Muskegon County. It's so helpful for our youth, and the trades are in such high demand and understaffed, and so it's great to get our youth involved with that, gaining the skill sets and new career opportunities for them as well. So I really appreciate you following through on that and bringing this to us for approval. Now this is for the first fiscal year, and if it proves its worth and we want to continue it, are you anticipating right now that we may just pull from our regular CDBG funds in subsequent years, or we'll look for other pots of money potentially?
Because this particular program is a public service, we're limited in the amount of funds that we can, so we'd be taking from Boys and Girls Club, and it's 15% of our allocation, so it's a small amount, and we'd be looking at who do we serve, and there'd be some type of a loss of some of the programs that we currently have. However, there's always general fund, or should I? I'm looking at Director Grant. He doesn't want anyone to use the general fund, but there are other ways, other avenues. We hope to have some support from outside agencies who see the value in it to come alongside of us. So we could probably do 30,000 of CDBG, but there'd have to be some other commitments, some other partners to
Piece
to
together the
participate.
resources. To keep it
Absolutely,
going.
and 90,000 isn't a lot when you're talking about the richness here in our county.
Indeed. So thank you, Director Bailey. And while you're up here, because
Yes.
rather than I might forget at the end of the meeting, but you're up here now, and before you leave, I just want to extend my appreciation and gratitude to you and Community Neighborhood Services for the
you.
Easter egg hunt this past Saturday.
Oh man, thank you.
You all coming out there and
Oh, my
serving
word.
our community and the youth in such
Thank you.
frigid temperatures and weather conditions. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
for
It's a
that.
lot of volunteers, a lot of staff that helped, so thank you for that.
Yeah, please
Appreciate
extend
it.
our appreciation and thanks
Absolutely.
to all of the staff members that were involved with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, take care and be well. All right, unless commissioners have any other comments before we go to vote, we're going to go to roll call.
Vice Mayor German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Emery,
Yes.
Commissioner St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. All right, we're up to public hearings. Industrial Facilities Tax Abatement Transfer for Lakeside Surfaces LLC. We got Mr. Franzik here reporting out on that.
So this IFT was initially granted in 2017. It'll expire at the end of 2029. It's just a simple name change. A new company has bought them out. Fortunately, they couldn't be here tonight, but we did get the signed contract. We do have everything set, and like I said, it's just a simple process for a name change to go to the state.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for staff at this time? All right. Well, this is a public hearing, so we welcome anyone from the audience if you wish to speak on this item of Industrial Facilities Tax Abatement Transfer for Lakeside Services. Seeing, oh, all right. We got Mr. Howeisen from our Oakview neighborhood joining us tonight. Welcome.
Need the address and everything again?
Nope.
All right. Once again, we're seeing an abatement come to you. They've already had one abatement. Isn't it time to stop giving out abatements and actually start collecting full taxes so that you can build your own tax base? It's like every other meeting, somebody's getting an abatement. We need to stop doing that and actually start collecting taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Howeisen. Anyone else from the audience wish to speak on this item? All right. Mr. Franzik, could you explain how this particular abatement works in terms of what's captured and what's abated briefly? And then this is simply a transfer. We're not
Yes.
extending the abatement or issuing a new abatement. This is just a transfer to the same company with a different name, essentially, because of a merger or acquisition.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And could you just speak how industrial facilities tax exemptions work?
Yes, so it was about a $2.4 million investment that they did make, and the abatement is only on half of the new taxes generated. So it's really something we have, the way the tax structures works in Michigan, if you want to keep your industrial companies or attract new ones, really levels the playing field, and if you're not granting these, you're probably not going to be attracting much business because another city will. So this is what we do for our industrial businesses to attract investment. And like I said, at $2.4 million, the taxes generated on it, they will be paying half for 12 years. After that, 12 years is up in 2029, they'll be paying 100% taxes on that addition.
Okay, so they're paying half of the value for the duration of it, in addition to the corporate income tax and employee income tax, and then the full value after the duration of the term. Okay. Commissioners, any other questions or comments on this item? Vice Mayor German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mr. Francis, did I hear you say that we're not extending or opening a new line of abatements? This is just a carryover from the actual
Yes.
business owner?
Yes, this is the same abatement that was given in 2008-17, and it's just simply transferring it to a new ownership.
Right, okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Commissioners, unless there's anything else, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and approve the request to transfer the IFT to Lakeside Services LLC.
So move. Or do you need me to say?
No, that's fine.
Oh,
You can
okay,
say so
okay,
moved.
okay.
Support.
If I read it out entirely, you can say so moved. Saves us from saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a motion by Vice Mayor German, supported by Commissioner St. Clair, to close the public hearing and approve the request to transfer the IFT to Lakeside Services LLC.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Any final remarks before we go to roll call? Nope. All right, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Emery,
Yes.
Commissioner St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, next public hearing. We've got the 2022 Annual Action Plan. That is our Community Neighborhood Services Director Bailey. Yeah?
So let me just start by saying that this is a normal process at this time of year where HUD provides us with an allocation of what funds we will be receiving. This year, unfortunately, they're being late with the amounts that we will be receiving. However, we wanted to stay on track and try to have the funds when they become available to have them as soon as July 1st, which is the start of our annual year. So what you'll see when you go out to our website, or if you go to the clerk's office or our office or to the Hackley Library circulation desk, we have a copy for you just to review the programs that we are anticipating, what we're proposing. The only change to the programs, we used to provide funds to Love Inc. for ramps. And the last 5 or 6 years, they have not requested any because they were receiving them from senior millage program. And so because of the limitations of being a certain age, now they're seeing that they're having a lot of requests for families who need it and not 60. So that was their proposal that they submitted. And so then we put that in there into the action plan, different from what we've had in the past. And I think that's the only true change of programs that we have. But at this time, between the 1st of April and the end of April, we are receiving comments, questions, concerns, whatever it is that the public would like to share. about the CDBG grant funds, if there are some things that you'd like to see happen, if there are some questions that you have about what we are doing or the programs that we've continued to fund year after year, then we can answer those. I can answer those questions for you, so.
Thank you.
Hearing is for.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? For Director Bailey? Vice Mayor German?
Yes, just one comment. Thank you, Director Bailey. One program that I would like to see, and I mentioned this before, is a program like for windows for homes. That's a huge concern for citizens and residents that have older homes. Something that, is more energy efficient to help keep costs down, in the winter. So I think that would be something that would be great if we could get something like that established.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor German.
Thank you,
I like the idea of better efficiency, and perhaps we can give support to improving the sustainability and efficiencies of houses altogether. I think there was just read something about the other day a new program. I think the state
healthy-
issued some additional funds.
Correct. So we did receive a $1.5 million for the Healthy Homes project, and so that's helping our citizens countywide to receive some assistance for their homes that need to be a little more healthier. And we did get a call today just from someone who has a child who is allergic to the carpeting, and she has all the documentation, so it's like, oh, you're just perfect, we just don't have our applications yet, but we're in the process, and that notice is out as well. So if you have any questions, it's been posted in the paper on this past Sunday, so if you have questions for the next 15 days till the 25th, you can ask about that program as well.
All right. Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions or comments at this time? All right. Thank you, Director Bailey. This is a public hearing, so we welcome any comments on the public access plan, or as Director Bailey indicated, comments will be received through the end of the month, and you may access the plan at the public library here at City Hall, also online. If you go to tonight's packet, you'll see the link to the action plan. Any comments at this time on that item? No? All right. Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing and conduct a subsequent or continue to receive comments for the. Well, we don't need to actually vote today. We're just we're not accepting anything right now, are we?
That's it.
We're just going through the motions of having a hearing, but we're not adopting anything just yet. So I would just entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time then.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ramsey. Welcome.
Thank
And
you.
Commissioner Emery to close the public hearing. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Emery,
Yes.
Commissioner St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramsey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And for the next item on unfinished business, that has been removed for the time being by our manager. And so we will move on to new business. Amendment to the plan unit development at 1000 West Western, otherwise known as Hartshorn Village. And we have Mr. Franzik joining us to read out on that. So that we can proceed, may we have a motion?
I move to approve the request to amend the final planned unit development at 1000 Western Avenue.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Emery, supported by Commissioner Gorman, to approve the request to amend the final plan unit development at 1000 West Western Avenue. We have Mr. Franzik reporting out on this item.
All right, so the major changes to this plan unit development, which was previously approved, is 17 of the single-family homes on the west side of the development will be removed and replaced with a 17-unit apartment. We do have a nice rendering of that. It's a very beautiful building. The reason for it is they want to save the wetland. It was found out that there is a wetland on site, and in order to preserve that, they've just amended the plan to have a more dense building and keep that wetland. And other major component is the street on the western side of the development will be shifted a little bit more to the west to the property line, and that will be shared with the Adelaide Point street that they had. And so instead of having two streets going to the same spot, we're just going to have a shared road going to the boat launch.
Commissioners, any questions? Or otherwise input on this PUD amendment? No?
No, sorry. It's just
All right.
getting my hair out of my eyes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Franzik. This is a future phase, so it demonstrates to me that the developers' dedication, long-term dedication to this project, because they're just in phase 1, and this is more towards affecting phase 2 and phase 3. And they are adjusting their development to take into account the I'm blanking on the name of it right now.
The wetlands?
Wetlands.
Oh,
Wetlands. I was thinking waterways, like the wetlands, yeah. And our bike trail is going to be moved there as well, so that it's not inundated or submerged in water. There's that section that oftentimes submerged in water. And so we'll have a dry bike trail going through there as well, which will be nice. So unless there are any final questions or comments, then we're going to go to roll call.
I just want to say thank you to our residents who have been here helping make sure we all fully understand what this is. We trust our professional staff, but I really appreciate the time to be at these meetings to express any concerns you have, get clarification yourselves. I think that helps all, like we were talking on our work session yesterday, helps all of us be better informed. So thank you.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Commissioner Gorman. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Gorman?
Yes.
Commissioner Emery?
Yes.
Commissioner St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ramsey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next up, we have a City of Muskegon Housing Study and Needs Assessment Request for Proposal. Are you leading?
So I'm going to lead on this one because our Development Services Director is home ill and taking care of ill family members. So with all of the work that we're doing to invest in infill housing in the city, we want to do a housing needs study. We want, excuse me. It will include inventorying what we currently have, getting some projections for what we expect the needs to be. This is going to look at rental units, it's going to look at home ownership, it's going to look at market rate, it's going to look at different levels of affordability. So we just want to get a study done so that we can have better direction moving forward as we continue to get interest from developers in building homes in our city.
Thank you, Manager Mike Sell.
You're welcome.
Staff commissioners, so that we may proceed with deliberation and ultimately vote, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the release of the Housing Needs Assessment RFP as presented.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Ramsey, to approve the release of the Housing Needs Assessment RFP as presented. Do you have any questions for Manager Mike Sell or any other input on this item at this time? Commissioner St. Clair.
I just think that this is a great idea. I think that we've heard from the community that they have a lot of concerns about how we are addressing housing in a what is perceived as a haphazard fashion. And I think that this will help to lay out very clearly what we have, what we need, where the gaps are, in a very concrete and measurable way. So thank you.
Absolutely. Commissioner Ramsey.
Yes, I know that Director Eckelman's not here, so I'm not going to ask a ton of questions that you may or may not be able to answer, Manager Mike Sell. But I think that just as Commissioner St. Clair said, this is an awesome opportunity. I want to make sure that as we move forward that we're engaging our local community-based organizations where it's appropriate to figure out the work that they're doing, how they're doing it, and their long-term plans on housing, if they should have any, such as Community Encompass and building or age-old services and placement for aged neighbors, things like that. So I would love a chance to see Jake again and have him really go through a lot of this stuff with us, just in case there's anything that we can help him make connect to. But otherwise, this is amazing, and everything that Commissioner St. Clair said, great job.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, this is just the releasing the RFP. So once we get a consultant on board, then we'll want some input.
So yeah, the submittals are due May 12th, and then by the end of the month there'll be some consultant selection, contract negotiation. So we'll be coming back to the commission at some point. Is there any other questions or comments from the commission? No? All right then. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Emery?
Yes.
Commissioner St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ramsey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor German?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Before we go to public comment on general items, is there any other business that commissioners would like to raise at this time? Vice Mayor German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. More of a comment. Just going back to the work session yesterday when we looked at the item for strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and challenges. I think there was some good dialogue, and I think this commission realizes that working collectively together and looking at the strengths that Muskegon has and our weaknesses, and also there was a lot of dialogue and conversation directed towards public engagement and engaging the community. And as Commissioner Gorman just mentioned earlier, that was something that we talked about. So I think we're on the right track. I'm hearing good things from the public that now they feel more welcome coming to our meetings. With the access to the social media is another one now, because someone was talking about going on social media today, look at the meeting and stuff like that. So I'm getting good feedback. I just wanted to share that with the commission and the public. And as we stated before, we're going to be transparent. I try to build that trust with the community so we could work together and move forward together. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Vice Mayor German. Any other business from commissioners? No? Seeing none, we're going to move on to general public comment. And first up, we have Kathleen Riegler of our downtown Muskegon resident. Welcome. Yeah, 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
I don't need to take very long. Kathleen Riegler, 808 Terrace or 806 Terrace or 810 Terrace. I have a question, and I have been to Public Works and the City Hall. I would like to do recycling, and all of the recycling is attached to having a garbage bin. And so, without a variance, I can't do recycling. And I just wondered if there's some kind of a way that because I have a dumpster, I don't need a roller for my garbage. I have a dumpster, I pay for the dumpster. I would like to, but I'm a city resident. I have an apartment in the city, and I should be able to get recycling. And I have been to Public Works and City Hall, and I understand the rules are how the rules are set up. They're set up to be attached to each other, but I'm wondering if there's some way to do a variance so that if somebody wanted to. The other thing that I would say is that as the city is growing, and as there are more and more people who are living downtown in apartments and those kinds of things, that recycling has not been, I mean, I know that there's recycling that can be done, household recycling, but business recycling has not been addressed. And I think that it's going to be a major problem eventually. And I know recycling, I mean, for all we know, the stuff is going to the dump. We don't know right now, and it's not a good system. But eventually, we have got to do something about it. So I didn't know whether the city has been working on it or whether I'm jumping in. I haven't been coming to meetings. I'm going to start coming to meetings. But I think that we need to look at it. And I think that as all of these apartments open up, that we need to do something about our garbage. St. Joe, we have a store in St. Joe, and right outside in the alley, they have recycling bins that are emptied every single day. Those are all done by the city. There has to be a way to do this. So that's all I wanted to do, was kind of open it up and figure out whether there's some place I'm willing to work on, whatever. I would like a variance. I would like to recycle instead of putting my stuff in the recycling bins and dumping it in the dumpster, which is really kind of a wasted motion. But I want to be able to recycle eventually, and I think if we don't work on it now, that it's going to just get bigger. Thank you.
Thanks so much for attending tonight and giving us your input and sharing your concerns about that. You're right. Where there's a will, there's a way. I think we have the will. We just got to find the way together. So, thank you. All right, Mr. Howeisen, welcome back to the podium. I'm an Oakview neighborhood neighbor.
This time, Michael Hawes, 903 Turner Avenue, Muskegon, Michigan. First off, I will apologize. I think I wrote Lake Shore on my form, and my mind's on the other side of the state, as you already know. Actually, I wanted to talk about the Shoreline Drive again. As I've been pondering this, and Leo was just getting ready to try to explain it to me again, you have X amount of lights along Lake Shore Drive, and the whole purpose of you trying to change that over is so that downtown people can have better access to the lake. They're still only going to have X amount of lights to be able to cross over, correct? So, why don't you just change the timing of the lights to give them more time to cross over instead of going from 2 lanes down to 4 lanes? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, once again, downtown's taking priority over the rest of the city. My. Why am I surprised?
Thank you for joining us tonight, Mr. Howeisen. The RFP for the pilot on the Shoreline Drive diet was going to be on our agenda tonight, or at least that's what the RFP submission had anticipated was going to be on our agenda tonight. It is not, so we're not actually voting on that yet, but that RFP is going to be coming to our May 9th work session. Correct, Director Evans? May 9th work session, and then it may very well be up for vote the next day at the May 10th general session with regard to selecting an engineer to implement the pilot program of that road diet, so to speak, at Shoreline Drive. So tune in, and I'm sure you'll join us again. I always appreciate your attendance with us. All right. Ms. Swenson, would you like to come back on another item or same item? Thank you. You have up to 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
From our Nelson neighborhood.
Laura Swenson, 1364 9th Street. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who's willing to do what you do. And like many residents, I'm not here frequently. It's not my favorite thing to come and sit through these meetings, and so I feel for what you have signed up for. But I laid out a couple things. One is a thank you note from a project that Nelson neighborhood for each of you. Thank you. I wanted to start with Nelson. We did our cleanup on Saturday, and thanks to DPW and your tool trailer, that was wonderful. Yes, way too much garbage out there. Oh my gosh. I just briefly, someone needs to go, I'll go around and ride in the garbage truck and give tickets out to all the people who overstuff their totes. This is ridiculous. They don't tie them up. It's in the ordinance. You can be fined for that. It's where all that litter comes from. But anyways, another thank you is Roger Allison Memorial Garden over on 6th Street. Thank you for not turning that into a house. There were plans to do that. And that garden has done so much for that neighborhood. And Craig, getting people to come together. That's not a really safe neighborhood. And the fact that those people are out there all the time, it's not just healthy produce. So thank you for that. I included a balance sheet from Nelson neighborhood. And that is the result since 1970 of the work that volunteers have done and have invested in the community. now able to invest the funds from that endowment into our neighborhood. Because we should be partners with the city. We are not getting communication to us before things happen to us. We are not having the input we should. One simple thing for me was, when I moved here, I said, geez, I'd like to have a kayak or a small sailboat. I just tried again at the marina. Where can I, Nelson neighborhood, where could I put a small sailboat or a kayak? Well, luckily, we built 2 kayak racks, right? One's over at Fisherman's Landing and one's at Heritage Landing. But we have restricted access to both of those, very limited access. I can't believe, and I've been trying that since 2008, that we have made no progress. Or very limited progress. So on that note, though, I just want to say again, sometimes you don't realize the full impact of the decisions that you make, and I feel like we have just been kind of knocked around for the last couple of years. A tree that managed to stand on the corner, I could see this out of my living room window, and your forester, who's wonderful, said that tree is a healthy tree, over 100 years old. It's managed to be on that corner all that time. And guess what? It's gone now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swenson. I appreciate you and your neighbors and the Nelson Neighborhood Association for your investment of time, talent, and treasure into our community. Grateful. All right, we have Cindy Lockhart from the Sheldon Park neighborhood. Welcome. You have up to 3 minutes for your remarks.
Cindy Lockhart, 1080 Green Street. I would like to I have some questions regarding what goes in front of the zoning commission. And does everything that is presented in front of the zoning commission then get passed on here for approval?
Not everything.
Not everything.
Not everything. Yeah, it's not universal. Everything that goes before the planning commission does not necessarily come to the city commission for subsequent approval. If it's a matter of rezoning or new zoning, those go to the planning commission first, then come to the city commission for formal adoption. For special land use permits, those go to the planning commission and planning commission only. They have the final authority with regard to whether or not to issue those permits. What the parameters in which the permits may be issued and what types, that's a matter of zoning, and that goes to the planning, then the city commission for adoption. If you have additional questions, because I'm not an expert in this matter, I do understand some of the mechanisms and processes, but if you want to get into like more granular or more detail in terms of the mechanisms, I would encourage you to speak with our zoning administrator, Mike Franczyk, on that.
Okay. That being said, I was at a zoning meeting that a special use permit was passed for our neighborhood, and we had a petition against that address filed with the Register of Deeds with a cover letter stating that our neighborhood did not want this in our neighborhood. That's a legal document filed with the Register of Deeds. So how could the zoning commission legally pass that? That question's addressed to Mr. Schreier.
And I'm Will Meyer. I'm working.
Okay,
here for
I'm
Johnson.
sorry.
That's okay.
Standing in for.
I apologize.
So just because something was, I don't know the specifics of the situation that you're talking about, and just because somebody records something with the Register of Deeds, that doesn't necessarily. That's not necessarily effective. That just makes something public. So it would be something you'd want to look at to see. I don't know what was recorded.
It was a petition of over 300 signatures within our neighborhood community.
Yeah, so that's not an official act of the city or any other organization that would be able to negate the actions of either the planning commission or the city commission. And so that may be out there. There may be some issues regarding title that could create some issues with. But doing something through a petition and recording it is not an effective way to.
Even if it had a cover letter stating the desires of the community?
Correct. Right. If they wanted to have something officially adopted, it has to come through either the planning commission or the city commission and be approved. The residents can't on their own, either through petition or individually, change zoning or prevent a zone change or something like that. They would need to go or through the court system to do something like that.
So basically, there's always a loophole to be found because the petition and the neighborhood coming out and speaking, showing up to the commission meetings and speaking out their voice got one of the main things voted down that we were working for with that petition. But loopholes keep being found. There's always, they find another way in the back door to make it work. So they're still allowed to be in our neighborhood and continue functioning with, like I said, in my eyes, it's not morally sound in the way they're conducting their business. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lockhart. All right. Next up, we have our former city manager, Brian Mazade from our Beechville Bluffton neighborhood. Welcome. You have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Brian Mazade, 1686 West Harbortown Circle, and I want to talk about the recycling program, but with respect to the cost of the recycling program, and I'm not anti-recycling, and I hope Ms. Riegler gets what she wants in terms of recycling, but my concern has to do with the way the city charges for the recycling. Currently, so my issue is really twofold. One, the first is relative to the fairness of the charge. Right now, the city puts a charge on water and sewer bills for the recycling costs, and there's about 13,000 customers that get charged for that. And the payment for that service is mandatory, whether you use the service or not. And there's no opt-out provision, so if you don't want the service, you don't have to take it. In fact, you have to sign up for the service in order to get it, but you still pay for the cost of the service. And there's about, I believe, and this is an estimate, but I believe there's about 20% of the residents that use the recycling program. And so, for me, it's a fairness issue. Why would the city charge somebody for something they neither want or receive? So that's the crux of my concern. But I want to give you a little bit of more details and get into another concern that I have regarding this cost. So about 20% of the residents use the program. So that means about 80% of the city property owners are paying for a service that they don't want or use, so that about 20% of the residents or the property owners can have that service. So 80% of the people are subsidizing the service, so 20% of the people can get it. The total cost of the program is about $200,000 annually. So those of us who do not use the service are collectively paying about $160,000 for a service that we don't have or want. And so, to me, is this really good government? Is this the way that we should operate that kind of service? And I think it also presents a hardship for some people who don't want the service and yet still have to pay for it, regardless of what the amount is. So that's my initial concern, but to take it a step further, I really want to know, I'm really interested in knowing what gives the city the authority to levy such a charge for this service. In fact, I don't believe the city does have the authority, in my opinion. I believe that the charge is a violation of the Michigan Supreme Court decision in Bolt versus the city of Lansing. And that is the measuring stick for determining whether a fee is really a fee or if it in fact is a tax. In this case, the recycling charge doesn't meet any of the requirements of the Bolt decision. And so if it's not a fee, it's a tax. And it's a tax in which the city, in my opinion, doesn't have the authority to levy. So I would respectfully ask the city commission to consider my concerns and respond to me about whether something is going to be done differently to address my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Mazade, for joining us tonight and sharing those concerns. I do recall our prior city manager, Frank Peterson, addressing the Bolt decision with regard to a different fee, not this one. So I haven't. I don't know if Mr. Myers wants to weigh in on this right now.
No, I guess I would.
Or subsequently.
Yeah, subsequently.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
we should look at how it was adopted.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Since you brought it up, the other issue, I think I was one that brought that issue forward.
Yep. Yeah. So, well, no. Can we speak afterwards on that? Thank you. All right, we have a Representative Colleen Sullivan. Did I pronounce that right? Sullivan. There you go. The V looked like an R. The U and O. So, Representative Colleen Sullivan, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I do apologize that I was not here earlier. I got stuck in traffic on my way here. I had hoped to be here to answer any questions that you had. Thank you, Ms. Bailey, for doing filling in on the fly. But I do understand that there was a question about whether the Access for All program was available for returning citizens. I think that was the question.
That was my question.
Okay, great. So, returning citizens, we do partner with Nation Outside. We're open to partnering with anyone, but we have partnered with them at the statewide level. I believe we were in Grand Rapids with them last week. We've worked with them in Jackson and Detroit, and are certainly willing to work with them anywhere. Returning citizens aren't specifically one of the target populations that's listed, but we have and will continue to work to serve.
Thank you.
I know this isn't the appropriate time for Q&A, but I will stick around if anyone had any other
that's
questions.
perfectly fine. We can do
So-
Q&A right now if commissioners do have. I appreciate you being here with us tonight and driving across the state to be here with us.
So sorry.
Traffic happens, so that's certainly
Twice I got
understandable. But no, I appreciate the work that you're doing as part of Access for All, and I'm grateful for that, and look forward to partnering, getting this off the ground, and hopefully it'll be very fruitful, and we'll continue it for many years to come. But commissioners, do you have any other questions for Representative Sullivan right now? Vice Mayor German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. More of a comment, and thank you for coming. First heard about the program. I saw the information on the website over there from residents in Detroit, and I was very impressed of what has happened with this program, and I really believe what you all are doing would definitely benefit these people here in the city of Muskegon, and they will be able to share some of them same stories that I seen on that website, how the program that you have changed the lives of these individuals. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that remark, and that's truly our hope. We're excited. Some of those stories have actually come full circle probably since you saw them, in that some of those same people who've really seen a transformation in their whole future outlook are now instructors with us. They've become journey people and have come back to actually lend a hand up back to the program, which is really exciting.
That's awesome.
Thank you for your belief in the program, and certainly I'm available anytime to answer questions or take feedback or suggestions on how we can best partner. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Safe travels back. Thank you. All right, we have Ann Vandermolen from our neighboring Roosevelt Park. Would you care?
I can go last.
You'd like to go last? Okay. And we have a Dolvina Shepherd from our neighboring Fruitport. Welcome. Oh, the address. East. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it
no.
says East Wind.
I know, and you know what, Dean? I'm sorry.
Okay. Our neighbor from Sheldon Park.
Elvina Shepherd, 1439 Eastwood Drive. I just wanted a little clarity on the zoning that Ms. Lockhart spoke on when she spoke about the petition, and it should come to you, to the commission, and to the planning first. Am I right?
So there was two things. There was the zoning matter last fall, which was with regard to rezoning the former Our Redeemer property and the adjoining vacant property, and rezoning that to medical care with various conditions, and that was to accommodate, at the time, it was to accommodate the Fresh Coast Alliance's expansion and doing permanent residence housing there. It was going to be two 15-unit permanent residencies there. The commission at that time did receive the petition from our residents. There was quite a bit of discussion by the commission at that time. I remember we tabled it and had more discussion, more outreach with our neighbors. The commission voted down the rezoning for that. What subsequently happened was the tenant of that property sought to purchase it and applied for a special land use in order to just continue their existing programming, not expand it, not do the permanent residency, but just continue doing the existing services, because they were operating previously with the church. There's a church that functions there. That church was going to be vacating the property and buying the property across the street and just moving its church and the congregation across the street. But Fresh Coast Alliance, as a tenant of that property, wanted to continue providing its services to our community. And so that's why they had applied for a special land use permit, just to continue the exact same parameters of the services being provided there. And that's what went through the Planning Commission, and because it's a special land use permitting, that only goes to the Planning Commission, does not come to the City Commission for approval. I can't speak to, I don't know if that petition was shared a second time with the Planning Commission. I'm not sure. I know I'd received it the previous time with the City Commission, but I can't speak authoritative or definitively if it was shared subsequently with the Planning Commission on that matter.
If it was, it's not taken in consideration by the planning committee?
Do you want to speak on that all on the plan? Because in my understanding, my understanding is the Planning Commission and the City Commission can approach things differently. The City Commission has a lot more latitude in terms of what we say yay or nay on. The Planning Commission and commissioners have a bit more guidance or contours in which they evaluate what to permit and what not to permit. I don't know if you want to speak more just authoritatively on that than me.
I mean, they can certainly receive the information that they want to receive as part of evaluating their decision. But just by receiving the information or receiving comments, that's just advice or input into making that decision. Once they make that decision, that's their decision. And there are other methods for either objecting or appealing to that, but that's their decision. And you can't, at that point, unilaterally record something and have that be effective regarding that action that they took.
So what would be effective?
I'd have to look. I'm really not aware of the specifics of this situation.
Okay.
But they, and I don't know how long ago this was, but I mean, this was approved a while ago, it sounds like.
Excuse me, I just took a drink of my coffee. The rezoning that was before the commission was last fall. The special land use permit was before the Planning Commission. Was it last month or the month before? But I think it might have been February.
Okay.
Yeah,
but it was approved, right?
Yeah, it was approved by
it
the
was
Planning
approved,
Commission.
So
yeah,
you'd have to look then into what the options are for that. But it was approved. So.
Yeah. Now, and I appreciate you being here and asking questions to learn more. Our zoning administrator is always available to answer questions as well if you want to reach out to him. That's mike.franzik@shorelinecity.com. Otherwise, Mr. Franzik, if you'd like to share anything right now with the commission and our guests.
So we're always happy to share comments that we receive. If you have a comment on a case, please share them with the planning department and we'll make sure to share them at the public hearing. Or you can just show up to the public hearing and make your comments there. but we need to receive them. If they're going to the Register of Deeds, they don't notify us of that. So if that was the only way that the petition was shared, we never received it, unfortunately. So please make any comments directly to the Planning Commission or at the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Franzik. And thank you, Ms. Shepherd. From Sheldon Park. It's the neighborhood I grew up in. All right. Ann Vandermolen. Unless you want to go last, I'm going to give it, open it up to the public because I'm going through all the forms I've received. So I'll hold you just one more moment. Is there anyone else from the audience that wishes to give a remark during general public comment? Seeing none, then I welcome you, Ann Vandermolen.
Excuse me, Mayor. I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss a hand?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a short hand.
Well, welcome. Are you also from our wonderful Sheldon Park neighborhood? Yes, I am. All right, welcome. We will, because we don't have your address or form, the city clerk will need it. If you don't care to share it publicly, you can just give it to her privately. But we will need to have your address for
Okay, my name is Brenda Grider Frierson. I live at 1081 Green, Muskegon, Michigan, 49442. My question is about the funding that you got for the senior citizens. Is that broad, or is that just for the Heights and just for Muskegon? That's my first question. The second question is and the reason why I'm asking is because I have a brother that is a senior citizen that lives in Muskegon Heights.
Mm-hmm.
And he came and applied, and they told him that he had to go through the Heights. So I guess my question is, do you have to go through the Heights? Or is it senior citizen for Muskegon or Muskegon Heights?
Fortunately, we have our Community Neighborhood Services Director, Anita Bailey, with us still, and her office oversees the senior millage resources. So she can answer that.
I thought you said unfortunately, but.
No, fortunately!
But I'm here. So our senior millage, like all other programs through the senior, Muskegon County Senior Millage, we serve anyone in any place as long as they are a senior and in the county of Muskegon. And so we can serve Muskegon Heights, we serve Roosevelt Park, we serve everyone and anyone who submits. What we try to do is to offer another municipality if you live there. So for a resident of Norton Shores, we would ask, would you like to go through the Norton Shores program? Because our senior millage list is extensive. We have more than 20 people, and I'm being on the low end. But we have a lot of people who are waiting to be served. And so when we know that you live in a municipality like ours, where they receive CDBG funds, you can get those sources quicker than waiting on a list for months. And so that's why when a person calls from Muskegon Heights or Norton Shores, we ask them and say to them that their municipality has other programs for them. But we can serve anyone. Not before, but we give them a choice. If they want to leave the application with us, we'll add them to the list. But if
He got turned down and he didn't even get, you know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that is because when you, and I'm not trying to put nobody down, but when you go through Heights take you through a whole lot of riffraff, and certain people get in and certain people get out.
I can tell you this, we have served Muskegon Heights, Montague, Casanova. We do serve any citizen in Muskegon. Citizens on our senior list as completed, as well as still waiting. And so I apologize if he was told the wrong thing, to just go there and don't use us. We certainly will accept any applications. Now, right now, just FYI, we're out of senior millage funding. And so we are not taking applications right now so that we don't have to manage a massive list. So in October, we're anticipating more funds, and we'll address those who are on the list. And anyone who has an application somewhere else, No. Well, certainly, I would accept it if you want to have them come see me. Yep, I have my card.
Thank you, Director Bailey. And could you, just for folks at home to understand, because we're talking about our city doling out dollars to non-city residents, but to understand these are county resources that are being administered by the city of Muskegon. So it's not us giving away city dollars or funding to folks from across the county, but we're just simply, our staff is doing the great work of administering those dollars and helping folks across the county with county millage generated resources.
Muskegon County Senior Millage Funds are for all residents, and you can come in at any entry point. So.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Director Bailey. And kudos to your staff on the great work you do with administering those dollars. All right. Ms. Ann Vandermolen, joining us from Roosevelt Park. Welcome.
Nervous. Ann Vandermolen, 3194 Roosevelt Road. I'm going to read from my phone. I filed a police complaint against someone 8 years ago here in Muskegon, the city of Muskegon. I deal with anxiety, and I've had severe depression that just was alleviated to a certain point just a few months ago. So I felt stronger in my mind and thought I'd bring this up and fight against it with what I went through. I was told the statute of limitations had run out on the assault charge I filed. But as a woman, nobody ever asked me what an assault charge, what a statute of limitations should be for an assault charge. For, like domestic assault. Because state Congress and U.S. Congress is made up of mostly men, women don't get to say in what statute of limitations should be for different assault charges. We get assaulted by men, and then we're told by men how long we get to file a complaint. And it doesn't seem right to me, and it's not. Men commit the violence, and men make the laws about the violence. Women have to explain why they're filing charges. We get victim shamed, and I have lately, by 2 cops in Muskegon, and in my opinion by Timothy Mott, the assistant prosecutor. Felinsky and Liskey, I believe his name is, both victim shamed me in my opinion. Yeah. Too many girls I have read online about what happened to me, and in the process I read about girls being choked to death, and their accuser says, they asked for it. And I've also read about the sick, sadistic videos that were found in the investigation of Jeffrey Willis, and I just want to know who makes these videos, who watches these videos, and why is society allowing that to continue? For one thing, we need more women elected to offices, state office especially, in my opinion, so that women can make laws regarding violence against women and children. And we need our city and county leaders like you and DJ Hilson and whoever else to hold a press conference or something and speak out against these videos that are being made in Muskegon and being sold in Muskegon. I wonder if anybody's looked into those videos found at Jeffrey Willis's house. In his computer. Who is making these videos? Who is selling these videos? Who is watching these videos? And, it perpetuates through society, and violence gets inflicted on women and children because of all this sick stuff. again, I feel like I was victim shamed. The guy that did this to me is a friend of DJ Hilson's, and I want to say his name, but I've said it to many people already, and might say it in the future, but I think I'll refrain tonight. And, you know, somebody knows somebody popular in town. I've been told by lawyers I might have to go to Grand Rapids to get good counsel. And, you know, I think that's true because so-and-so DJ Hilson's kids go to school with this guy, and it's not right. The buddy system in Muskegon is alive and well, and what happened to me was assault. They could still go through with the charge, even though the statute of limitations has run out. And again, the statute of limitations should never run out on domestic assault. And women need to get into Congress and change those laws. We need to fight for women and children in Muskegon County and City needs to help. And you're included. And DJ Hilson's included, Timothy Mott is included. Our leaders in town must denounce those violent videos and the violence perpetrated against women and children every day. Every day. So, for one thing, I just want to say a marriage license is not an okay to start beating your wife. A prom dress, a date, is not a license to start beating your girlfriend. And I have talked to the county commissioners about getting a march against child abuse and pedophilia and against bullying. And I've been talking to people. The county administrator, he's behind me. You know, but you city leaders, you county leaders, all of you leaders, why aren't you doing more? You should be having a press conference in Hackley Park denouncing all of this crazy, sick, sadistic stuff that in turn creates victims in our city and in our county. So all I have to say is that we need to be more proactive. We need the violence against women and children to end.
Thank you, Ms. Vandermolen, for joining us tonight. I'm sorry to hear about the ordeal that you've experienced personally, and you're right, there's no personal statute of limitations on the lingering effect of what you've experienced, even though there may be a legal statute of limitations. And I wholeheartedly agree with you on more women running and getting elected to office, without a doubt. With regard to victim shaming, that is absolutely unacceptable. And you, if you'd like to speak with me about following up on that, I'm happy to do so. There is a process that you can file a complaint if you so choose to do so. So, thank you. Any other members from the audience that wish to speak? I know I already did this once, but I'm doing it one more time. All right. Now, then, commissioners, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor German, supported by Commissioner Emery, to adjourn. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thanks. Take care and be well, all.